Uh, Good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody. This is the room for new designs, intersections, and interchanges. We'll be getting started in about 5 minutes. Got the QR code for the PDHs up there. And yeah, get started in about 5 minutes, y'all. I'll get you pulled back.
Okay.
Cool. And do you need me to do an introduction before you get started, or do you want to introduce yourself?
If you would like to, sure. Make some kind of a better flow.
Yeah. I'll get everybody settled down, kind of.
I was doing one webinar last week, and there was no introduction. I kind of introduced myself like, well, that's a little awkward.
It was a little dry. Oh, they got a clock right here. I didn't know that. So, sweet. All right, good morning, everybody. It's about 8:31 right now. Can they hear me? Hello? It's not working? Hello? Oh, there it is. All right, good morning, everybody. It's about 8:32 right now, so we're about to get started. This is room 8 for new designs, intersections, and interchanges. At the end of this presentation, we'll have the QR code for the PDHs up here, and it's also posted on the wall right over here for when you get done. I'm presenting Dr. Joe Hummer to do his presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Many of you know me. I do intersections. Thank you for being here and making it possible for me to have a good morning. Just get to think about intersections. That's what I like. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully some time for Q&A toward the end of the session here. But let's see how it goes. I don't mind taking some questions as we go. If something looks interesting and provokes, that would be outstanding. We who work at NCDOT or y'all who are consultants who help us sometimes don't realize how lucky we are. We still have decent funding. Well, the events of this week are going to put a dent in that, but still we do have some money to spend. We still have a spot process that's pretty much the best in the world. Sure, it can be improved, but nobody else has got reasonable prioritization like we do. And the thing that I'm thankful for every day is our leadership and our management that gives us space to be good engineers and planners, to try things. I've worked just in a couple other states, but I talk to people from other states, and you all do too. And I hope you realize how fortunate we are to be in that situation. About 40 states out there wouldn't even touch these things that I'm about to show you here. And so credit to our management and our leadership that gives us space to even try things. So put that all together, and we get to do some pretty neat intersection and interchange projects. I'm so glad for that, and I hope you are too. A lot of those are tough ones. Just because our leadership gives us space doesn't make the problem easy. I heard the bottom line here. I heard that expressed recently by a board member talking about the work that we do, and I thought, wow, that captures it, right? We work on problems that are difficult but not impossible, and so that's what I'm kind of the theme here for my remarks today is here's some potential solutions for those difficult but not impossible places. So my objective really for the next hour or so is the new developments in intersections and interchanges, things that I hope could help us on our difficult but not impossible projects as we go forward here. Some of you have heard me on interchange before, so it's not going to be a lot of repeat from previous presentation, but hopefully with an emphasis on new, what I have learned, what we have learned in the last year or so. Really, it comes down to 3 different bullet points here. And the first is what I'll call 3-phase intersections. And I made a presentation on 3-phase intersections a couple years ago at pre-construction workshop, but now we've advanced the cause on those. Through a research project that just ended, was conducted here at NC State, and they came up with some good new information that we can use on what you might think of as compromise solutions. Some of y'all remember Jim Dunlop, retired from our unit a few years ago. Jim and I had a pretty good routine. We were good cop, bad cop. And I got to play the good cop. So we'd go into a meeting and Jim would say, no, it's got to be a roundabout. And then Hummer would come in and say, well, but maybe this other thing would work too. I miss Jim. but I still kind of played that role. And you know, sometimes we need to be firm, and the roundabout or the RCI or whatever the pure design is the right thing to do. But sometimes the constraints are too much, and the budget and the schedule and everything, and so sometimes we really do need to find a middle way there. Second thing is urban applications. That again, a research project that ended this past year, and a very good one. Again, led at NC State, but some other folks involved in it. And we've never been really successful at that. In the state or other states, RCIs and median U-turns and such, we've got some good examples in rural and suburban, but we've never really managed to do too much in an urban setting. And this research tried to flip the script on that and change that and make a urban application more possible. And then the third thing to kind of round things out for my time here today is new interchange designs that we keep developing, and some new ones that came up, emerged within the last year that could help us. So that's where we're headed. So on the business of three-phase intersections, let me be clear, the two-phase is best, right? If we can get the RCI in place, that's almost always the best solution. I say here safety and signal progression, but of course just raw capacity through the intersection. RCI kind of strips out all the other movement, all the other stuff, and gets you down to the essence of, you know, that direction meets that direction, and how can we move as many vehicles as possible through a space. So whatever you call it, goes by many different names, but yeah, RCI is the top of the heap. Median U-turn, a close cousin to the RCI, adds in the outstanding service for pedestrian and bicycle. RCI is, at least on the bicycle side, is more debatable, but median U-turn is superb in those aspects, and has we've shown a terrific safety record too. And then where you really need capacity, you have to stay at grade, but you really need capacity. That CFI, the continuous flow intersection, is there in the menu too. So nothing I'm saying here is meant to undercut those kind of three fundamental two-phase designs. So those are the ones that still most of us and most of our projects should be striving for. For a safety, capacity, pedestrian, other aspect, it's going to be the optimum. But sometimes they just won't let us, right? There's just constraints. And you know, you all have encountered those, and I have too. The public opinion, the media, yes, our political leaders, just won't let us get that thing, what we consider to be the best thing in place. And then sometimes it's the lack of precedent as well. That median U-turn, we've only got 3 in the state right now. And so, you know, most everywhere you're thinking about one, it's going to be the first one in that county. And that's tough. Our RCI, we've got 400 in the state now. So we've got pretty good precedent there. That's not as much the problem anymore. But CFI, we've got a grand total of 1 open in North Carolina. So, you know, that is a drawback as well. That hurts us. So sometimes they just won't let us do that thing. And so we look around for other solutions. Play the good cop, and you know, I even hesitated to put the word compromise on the slide there, but that is kind of what it is. If I was in charge, we'd get the RCI. I'm not in charge. I don't want to be in charge. So, okay, what's the kind of next best thing that'll still accomplish our objectives, and some of these three-phase designs are that. They would fit. So they're basically allowing more direct movements. RCI, or median U-turn, redirects 4 of the 12 movements at a intersection with 4 approaches. The three-phase designs usually redirect 2 movements. So it's already a softer, you're just going to tick off less of your stakeholders out there just from 4 to 2, allowing more of those direct movements. Maybe reducing some costs and impacts. Maybe you don't need both of the U-turn crossovers, both of the bulb outs. Save money in that way and reduce impacts, of course. And then, alleviate the public concern. No, we're never going to get to 100%. That's not the objective. What percent do we need to get to before our stakeholders are willing to sign off to go ahead? Let's at least get to that threshold. So the research project was led by my friend William Rasdorf over here at NC State, with a couple of excellent co-PIs. There's a draft report. If anybody wants one, send me an email. Happy to send it to you. Always remember it is a draft subject to change before the final publication, which should be before the end of the year. And these guys did a lot of pushing along of these designs, simulation and safety, and try to gauge the public reaction. And I think they looked at 17 different alternatives. It's a big menu, right? When you start looking at all the combinations, all the possibilities out there, they took a good hard look at least a dozen. So here are some of those. The partial CFI, and this is a picture of the one that we do have open outside of Charlotte. And you can see from the picture, and you're probably familiar with this one already, it takes the left turns from the major street and moves them over to the left of the opposing throughs prior to the main intersection. So by the time you get to the main intersection, that's the phase that you're saving. The lefts can move at the same time as the throughs. And this thing is a capacity horse, right? This is almost as much capacity as if you had built the bridge there. And in fact, let's turn that around and say anywhere you're considering a bridge at the meeting of two non-freeways, you should be considering this thing as well, because it much less impact, much less cost, and it moves almost as many vehicles very efficiently. So the full CFI version has 4 left-turn crossovers. That's going to be very rare and special, I think. I think there's only one of those in the U.S. Most of them that we'll see will be this partial version with 2 of the crossovers. Leads to a signal at the main intersection with then 3 critical signal phases. And then there's this neat little thing, a combination of a CFI and a median U-turn. So let's call northbound going up the slide here. The northbound lefts get to cross over to the other side of the road like a CFI. The southbound lefts get to come through the intersection and then make a U-turn like a median U-turn design. So we get rid of a phase at the main signal. We're down to three critical phases, and we get to keep all of the impacts on one side of the intersection. So that should lead to pretty significant cost and impact savings with traffic movement that's pretty darn close to that previous slide with the partial CFI. That was a big outcome of the research here, showing that this thing is almost as good from a traffic perspective as the one on the previous slide. Yeah, we're going to need help from our signing heroes here to get people to drive it correctly. And like the other CFI, there's going to be a possibility of violations and wrong way movements. There's none of these solutions is perfect, right? But this thing has potential. We had 2 of these in the planning stages around North Carolina at one time. Both of those projects unfortunately got canceled. So I'm looking for candidates. Somebody got a good project out there. This one should be good for pedestrian as well. One of the projects that got canceled was really in a pedestrian-friendly area. So much vehicle demand and pedestrians, and I really thought this one had a chance to help in that situation. So kind of looking around for other places where this could go. The researchers really liked the idea of the partial median U-turns. There's I think at least 3 different varieties of partial median U-turn. Maybe that previous slide, if you call it a 4th one then. And the idea here is you're really only redirecting 2 of the left turns instead of all 4 of the left turns. In this case, if you, let's say the minor street is the north-south street, you're allowing the left turn direct from the minor street, but if you're on the major street and want to make a left turn, you have to go through the main intersection and then U-turn and come back through. So at the main intersection, you're down to 3-phase signal. But what they found from especially their simulations was there's some circumstances where this thing actually provides you more capacity than the full median U-turn. And that circumstance was where the capacity constraint was here. And it's not difficult to find demand patterns, turning movement patterns, where that would be the case, that the capacity constraint with the full median U-turn is actually at the crossover. If you have one of those, take some demand off of the crossover, and all of a sudden, almost like for free, we get extra capacity. Very little extra pavement, really no extra space, and we free up capacity in some of those circumstances. So still really good for pedestrians, like the full median U-turn. There is another version of this that would redirect the left turns from the minor street, so the kind of the mirror image version of this thing. Kind of opened my eyes. There's only, as far as we know, there's only one of these partial median U-turns in the world. It's in Idaho, of all places. Seems to work well there. If it works in Idaho. So, you know, maybe it's time to trot this one out at some of our sites to see if this could work. Again, you know, that sort of compromise or you know, a little softer version, but get something in place that'll work. And then this one, this is an actual diagram from a place in North Carolina that's probably going to get this treatment. Basically the minor, one of the legs of the minor street is right turn only. So we're redirecting the left and through from one of the legs of the minor street. Interesting. That means I just need one U-turn crossover and one bulb out. My design just got easier by half, right? Because in these RCI median U-turn type of projects, finding room for the crossover and the bulb out is the whole ball game. Just talking about that over breakfast with one of our colleagues here on one of our projects. Where do we have room for crossover? Where do we have room for bulb out? Well, the problem gets easier if you only need one instead of 2. And, oh, by the way, we just eliminated our problem with potential illegal movements here as well. With a nice strong island for that southbound movement, there's really no more opportunity or temptation there, like there would be at the other median U-turn and CFI type designs. So I really like this. Like all of these, it's not everywhere. It's, again, a potential compromise. The RCI beats this one in all dimensions, but for a place where they won't let us do the RCI, I think this particular case it's a developer adding that 4th leg. Well, first of all, we should never allow developers to add 4th legs, right? But if we have to compromise and let them do that, then maybe here's the compromise we can make with that developer. They get full access in and redirected access out, but maybe that's good enough, and it doesn't mess up our nice 3-legged intersection. And then there's the through cut, which you all probably heard me say before. I think we're going to end up with thousands of these around our network. This picture here is the one in Holly Springs, South Main Street. There's 3 through cuts open in North Carolina, as far as I know, at this time, and many more in the planning stages. And Virginia DOT has bought into this idea. There are dozens planned around Virginia. I think they've got a couple open at this point. It's just superb, redirecting the minor street through movement. And often in cases like this one in Holly Springs, we don't even need crossovers and bulb outs because the redirected movement out of a shopping center or out of a subdivision they can usually find another way, right? I think in this case, we're on one side of the main street is Walmart, and the other side of the main street is Target. And believe me, Walmart and Target do not care if their customers go across the street to the other retailer, right? So we will not hear any problem from those stakeholders. And Walmart and Target both have other ways to get out of their parking lots. So anybody that wants to make that through movement can do so. They'll have to learn how to do that, but they'll get it. It's really a awesome compromise. Gets you down to three-phase. The improvement in traffic operations from the four-phase that was there before is dramatic, with very little cost. If you're not doing bulb outs and crossovers, all you really got here is signal and marking and island work. Not nothing, but you just dramatically reduced your cost. And then the last point that these researchers emphasized too, I kind of suspected it going in, was there's great potential for signal progression along the main street. If you think about how this thing works, the minor street now doesn't need much green time. Yeah, it's 1/3 of the phases, but it's the shortest of the phases. And so this thing can really progress well for Main Street through traffic with signals both directions at about any spacing. You can put in this through cut about anywhere up and down the arterial, just like an RCI, and not mess up your green bands up and down the street. I think we're going to get lots of them, and this research kind of advanced the cause. Probably the main difficulty with that through cut, you might have noticed the diagonal crosswalk. Not easy, not popular, not unsafe, just takes a long chunk of your life to get across the street. So one of the ways to fix that is to offset the two minor street legs. Basically the same operation, the same three-phase signal, but now you got a straight across pedestrian movement. If you do the math on this, it really doesn't save much time for pedestrian, but it sure looks better, doesn't it? And to the extent that we are in the perception business, I'd rather take this one out to the public meeting. Let's put it that way. So simulation results that our researchers came up with. You see there are three measures: travel time, queue length, and stops per vehicle. These are averages over many simulation runs, different combinations of demands and such. The V over C of 0.9 tells you it's a pretty pleasantly full intersection. We're not simulating 3 a.m. here. This is more like 4 p.m. Typical demands for North Carolina. But everything beats the conventional. It always will. Get rid of a phase, and that's what you get. The RCI remains kind of the leader in the clubhouse, but these other designs are pretty darn competitive with RCI in reducing those travel times and queues especially. Stops for vehicles, a little bit of a safety surrogate. That's probably more stops you have, the more rear-end crashes you could expect to see down the line. And so that redirecting the left and through at 1.4, that's a little concerning. We'll have to see how that shakes out in the longer run. But the through cut and the offset through cut and the partial median you turn it at 0.6 tells you that there's probably great safety potential there as well. More simulation results. These are a program called SASAM that dives in and analyzes in detail the simulation sort of vehicle trajectories. And you can see here rear-end conflicts that they were able to count, lane change conflicts that they were able to count, and we're pretty much beating the conventional with most of these alternatives as well. So these are definitely surrogates. We need to get some of these built, and we need to measure the crashes and get real crash data. We do have crash data from a couple of the through-cut sites. 2 of our 3 in North Carolina have been open long enough, and The crash data look very promising. They're coming in very well. We need crash data from some of these other options, but the indications are once we get the safety data that they'll come in like we expect. They'll be safer too. Okay, and then they ran some case studies. I picked this one out, maybe not representative. This is a terrible intersection, some of you know, in North Raleigh, US 1 Capitol Boulevard. The last signal before you get to 540, of course, the signal next to a freeway interchange is always a problem everywhere in the universe, but especially along Capitol Boulevard in North Raleigh. So if we were able to do a project now, the city of Raleigh or MPO or somebody's got a plan to eventually put Capitol Boulevard in a trench and remove the intersection altogether. Fantastic. But in the meantime, until that thing gets funded and constructed, if we could somehow get a partial CFI or one of those CFI median U-turn options in place, with the same number of lanes here, you could see we could move traffic a heck of a lot better. So, you know, maybe as an interim in places like this, or as a ultimate, perhaps, so something like partial or CFI median U-turn combination at a place like this. Another one that they looked at on the west side of town in Cary, NC 55. I like to pick on NC 55. I think it was the last conventional arterial that NCDOT ever built. The minute it opened, it got over capacity, and you know, it's just it was a shame. We should have, in my opinion, we should have done better with that kind of last generation of widening projects. But here's what it would have looked like if we'd have come out with some of those three-phase designs, the partial CFI or the combination there. You can see over here, especially on the stops per vehicle side, that's a little bit surprising because if you remember, those have secondary signals. So two signals, but you're still getting many fewer stops than you did with the no build. Okay, so that's our story on the three-phase intersections. The research report went a lot more detail, several more different variations, but it's good stuff, and it kind of says, if you're on a project and you get a chance to look for one of those compromises, we have some out there. There's potential. You don't have to settle for the conventional four-phase. All right, so let's talk about the urban applications a bit. To this point, most of our 400 RCIs around the state are rural and ex-urban. Fantastic. We put them in where we can. We should keep doing that. They've delivered fantastic, especially safety results. But the thought has always been there of hey, maybe, why not? Could we sneak some into urban areas as well? Help our pedestrians, help our signals, get signal progression along our urban arterials. But then the evil twist there that I think we should emphasize more is with progression, you get the chance to control speeds. So there's a safety benefit there that I think we are leaving on the table. We're not pushing that nearly as well as we could be, as we should be. We get safety because of the median, fewer conflicts and chances to get hit and such, and then lower delays as well. So all kinds of potential good things there if we can get some of these in place. The research team, my question to them was, can you help us get some of these in place? They took it further and said, in a kind of a more aggressive way, can we use these alternative intersections as a catalyst to reinvent neighborhoods? And especially they were thinking about failing shopping centers and failing malls. And you know them out there. I know them out there. We don't have to drive far, like the Kmart just up the street here, right? How do you reinvent places like that? And could our street design actually help us create desirable real estate out of those failing places? So the project funded by us, and then NSF actually chipped in as well, which we appreciate. And Chris Cunningham was the PI, and they had good help from a couple other co-PIs there. The report is posted on our website by now, so you can easily download. They did focus groups, they did case studies, they did simulations, and probably, in my opinion, the best thing they did for us, a lot of pretty drawings. That is not a skill that I have, right? You could tell I work for a public agency by the quality of my graphics. But these guys, they gave us some graphics we'll be able to use, I think, on projects that come out there. And their overall conclusion was the right type of design in the right place could be great. Could not only solve our traffic problems, but had a chance to really be a catalyst to build back a failing urban neighborhood. So they focused on three concepts. A lot of these are pictures from Greenville, which was one of their case studies. I want to emphasize to everybody that Greenville helped us, participated with us, but there's nothing official about any of this. This is not a plan of the city of Greenville or the MPO or anybody else. This is purely research ideas. For instance, at one point we'll show a road going right through their mall. NCDOT is not endorsing the buying and the tearing down of that mall. So let's make that clear. Smithfield was another of their case studies. The three concepts that they ended up landing on were the quadrant intersection, where we have a connector road that handles all four of the left turns, and then the main intersection has just two-phase signal, just throughs and rights at the main intersection. The second one was down here, what they called U-turn opportunities, RCIs, and median U-turns. And then the third one they ended up recommending were some one-way pairs. And this took some guts. This is contrary to the popular, and I'll pick on my planner colleagues here, the planner opinion out there, which is to remove one-way streets and convert them to two-way streets. These guys are trying to push back against that and say that in a lot of places a one-way solution actually gives us the things that we want in these types of areas. So I applaud them for kind of having the intestinal fortitude to put that idea out there, an unpopular idea in some circles. So here's the quadrant idea that in this particular case, it's got two connector roads, and so you can reroute lefts and rights as convenient to both of the connector roads. And again, the main intersection, no more left turns, gets us down to two phases, frees up a ton of capacity, makes it completely walkable, as walkable as that intersection could possibly be, good for bikes as well. And what they're trying to show in this sketch and some of their other sketches is once we make a place have a lot of capacity and be walkable, those seem to be the catalyst for great design, urban design. For basically the developers see that and start building tall buildings next to that intersection. And here's a kind of a more widespread version of that with four connector roads. They spied this opportunity in Greenville, a place that looked like, I think a couple of these connectors are already there, but they're being sort of underutilized. So repurpose the roads that exist and then add a couple more. And so that's kind of the ultimate there. I hope you can see up in the upper right the results of their research, their simulations that they did. 50%, 4 times denser as far as the land use, people living there, retail, etc. 50% more road capacity. And this is the one that I well, not quite there. Maybe it's over here. Yeah. If you manage this type of development, you are replacing 350 acres of development that occurs out in the ex-urban areas. and how much extra infrastructure, from our point of view as a public agency, how much extra infrastructure do we not have to provide for that extra 350 acres out there in the suburbs? That, to me, that was an eye-opening stat that they provided. Upper right corner as well, 10 to 15 miles an hour slower speeds, so we get safety, especially for our pedestrian and bicycle road users. But the travel times are still faster. Slower speeds, faster travel times, because nobody's sitting at red signals anymore. The traffic keeps moving. There's the ideal. That should be our mantra going out from here. Slower speeds, faster travel times. I hope none of our stakeholders care that we get them from A to B at a slower speed, as long as we get them from A to B faster than they did before. Slower speed, faster travel time. I like it. All right, here's another look at that central intersection. Again, get rid of the left turns, walkable, bikeable, and then hopefully the developers notice that and come in behind with some awesome dense development. Okay. Another look at a similar idea here, but this one, instead of the quadrant connectors, you're getting the U-turn ideas. Can you sneak in those bulb outs? They're not really bulb outs anymore. You can see the idea they came up with is sort of a widen the median, get your U-turn in place, and then narrow the median back down. They point out, it was an obvious point, but I'm glad they did it. We should all keep it in mind. Not every crossover has to be 90-foot diameter to accommodate every large truck that shows up, right? That you can mix in different type of crossovers, and as long as we provide good enough truck crossovers down the arterial, that will still be okay in that dimension. So again, Greenville here, I think a different part of the city, offsetting 680 acres of suburban development out in the exurbs. So anybody caring about environmental issues, this should be wave the flag on this one. Your runoff, your global warming type of thing. Oh, and by the way, 19 miles of road that we don't have to build out in the suburbs of Greenville. So that's what we're aiming for. Again, these guys went way beyond what I was hoping for with this research. More other looks at what they were working on, what they were envisioning here. Of course, continuous medians, safer, encourage right in, right out from driveways and side streets. On-street parking, that's a luxury. I could have maybe, I quibbled with them a little bit about that. They thought it was a nice feature. I don't know. Crosswalks everywhere to keep the walkable theme. As long as you got the median in place and you've got the good signal progression, two-stage crosswalk is a freebie. So let's sprinkle them out there everywhere. And then finally, the one-way or what other literature calls a split intersection. I think this picture is actually from Smithfield. Another case, they were nice enough to work with our researchers, but we're not pretending Smithfield's going to run out and build this tomorrow. But the idea is to take one big nasty intersection and split it into two three-phase intersections that operate better and probably safer. One-way streets have a bad reputation in some circles. I think that's mostly undeserved. I think a lot of the cases where we should have made the conversions, that the one-way streets were really not needed, I think that by now those have been reconverted back to two-way. And then the ones I know of around North Carolina anyway, the one-way street there is mostly serving a good function for everybody, including our pedestrian and bicycle. One-way streets do not have to be fast. One-way streets do not have to be wide, right? In fact, one-way street, we again have that advantage of signal progression, so dial it down. Great progression at a 25 mile per hour progression speed should be a win-win for everybody. So let's take advantage of that where we got it. These can be narrow streets, and they can have the slow speed, and then the three-phase signals at least more efficient than four. So Smithfield, what's the name of the street through downtown? The Main Street? Market Street. Yep, thank you. So Market Street today, an undivided 4-lane. We can all agree the worst cross-section that is possible right now. Convert that to a one-way street, free up, I don't know if we really need that bus lane there through Smithfield, but let's imagine. But whatever use we've got for that extra space, let's use it productively. Bicycles for sure, sidewalk cafes, etc. Because you just don't need that much pavement to move even more cars than you did before. So more Smithfield, imagining a sort of a new Central Park in the middle of Smithfield. That's pretty cool. And in this case, we offset 1,200 acres of suburb, 1,200 acres that can stay planted in corn and tobacco in Johnston County instead of having to sprout houses. So that sounds like a good win. Okay, and then my third theme for you this morning is interchanges. And these are new ones that have at least occurred to me in the last year or so since I talked with you last about interchanges. So again, Johnston County, this is a cool one out there, a double roundabout that's opened recently on US 64. Fantastic. My prediction is it's going to be awesome. I drove it exactly once. It looked awesome to me so far. Good for Division 4. Let's do a lot more with that. And it kind of raises it opens the can a little bit, and the worms are crawling out. It's like, well, roundabouts work well for a diamond. Why not? Why don't we try roundabouts with other interchange forms? What's this one is pretty awesome, but let's think a little bit more, extend the idea. So other interchanges with roundabouts. Roundabouts, of course, are awesome, efficient, and not too costly. We've got great safety data. You can see there the so-called CMF. 0.76 means a 24% reduction in crashes compared to the signal that used to be there. Again, we get speed control, U-turn opportunities, great for pedestrian. They give you that gateway feeling. Welcome to this Mount Airy, I think. Welcome to town. They look good. All of those benefits as well. So, Are there other roundabout interchanges? In fact, how do we know? How do you measure what's a good interchange? So I think I presented this last year. It might be a review. We posted a menu of interchanges and scored them. Came up with a scoring system, 12 different criteria, 0 to 5 points on each criteria, so 60 points possible to make sense of the large menu. And there's the website, basically posted at the congestion management websites for our full menu of interchanges plus the spreadsheet that does the scoring. Turns out it's a huge menu. 10 or so common concepts that most of our interchanges are built that way. And if you look in the literature, there's a couple dozen other that have been published but not built as far as I know. But when we started turning over the rocks, I'm mixing my metaphors here. When we started letting the worms crawl out of the can, turns out there's a lot of worms. Dozens and dozens of new concepts that some of them are pretty fanciful. Other ones look like they really could work. So yeah, 12 categories, 0 to 5 score in each category. It wasn't just Joe doing the scoring. We had a couple of fantastic interns for last year, Hayden and Breyer, some of you know, that helped me do the scoring. So it was fair and the quality was checked. So here's how your double roundabout scores. Congratulations, Division 4. My prediction is that's an awesome project. and we should do many more of those. In fact, that double roundabout should probably be the default interchange for rural and low-demand places like that one there. Basically, a freeway meets a two-lane road. Why wouldn't you do the double roundabout? Look at the scores there. Yeah, efficiency. Okay, that's why we limit it to rural and low demand, because there's more efficient designs out there. The roundabouts at some point give up as far as capacity goes. But safety, cost, wow. It's second ranked overall. I think the current menu has 125 interchanges, so this is second ranked out of 125. It, in my opinion, should be the default for low demand or rural. Did I mention that you get to keep a bridge with just 2 lanes, right? Even the bridge is low cost. But how about this one? Single roundabout. Anybody been to Europe? You drive through hundreds of these in your trip, wherever you are in Europe. Why don't we do these here? What's the whole? Well, one of the holdup is that the bridge needs to be larger, so the cost score takes a bit of a hit here. But we can even, I should show a picture of that. You can change the roundabout shape into one of those peanut shape double circles and reduce the bridge width by doing that. So even that sort of detriment there, we can work around it. So compared to the tight diamond's a good competitor. A signalized tight diamond in the right spot. We're NCDOT building several of those around the state. I applaud that in the right spot. Tight diamond is a really nice competitor. You can see they're 20th ranked. Single roundabout at 22, that's pretty good. But compared to the SPUI, which we have several SPUIs out there, and I still hear them bubbling up on project teams and projects now and again. And compared to the SPUI, as far as I could tell, this thing beats the heck out of it. So anywhere, if you have that thought of SPUI, you ought to have this thought as well as a potential tough competitor. And then where we really need capacity, you have to go to the third level. So freeway under, arterial through, over, and then roundabout at grade in the middle level that handles all the turns. 27th ranked out of 125, so pretty good, very costly, but scores 15 out of 15 in efficiency. So it moves traffic as well as you can at a service interchange. This one, noticed it in Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota, of all places. Who knew they had traffic up there, but there it is. Somehow they needed this, and it's a good-looking interchange. Again, anybody with a SPUI in mind, like, why do you need to put that huge bridge right over the freeway? Move your junction over to the side, one side or the other, wherever you got a little bit more available space, and you can use a roundabout like this, or just signalize it, and all of a sudden you probably reduce your SPUI costs greatly, and the operation stays the same. Yeah, those other 2 bridges, but those are small ones. Those are single-lane bridges. So the offset idea, here you can see 12th ranked out of 125. If you have to signalize it, that's still not too bad, 50th out of 125. Again, to compete with the SPUI in places like that where, you know, you've got quite a few left turns, this is a elegant way to handle them. A little bit different version of that one, a little cheaper version of that one. It's the Minnesota solution, but only 1 extra bridge over the freeway. Things got even better. We're down to being the 13th ranked design here by doing this. Scores okay in efficiency, but as far as safety goes, much as we can guess about safety without having built one, and as far as cost goes, this one is going to go pretty well too. You can see there, 16 out of 20. So this also seems to be a tough competitor, especially in cases where you've got a little bit more available space on one side of the interchange than the other. And then basically the same idea, except do the mirror image with where you put that extra bridge, put the extra bridge over on the other side. We call that a Milwaukee left turn because that seems to be where it was invented, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And good for them. They've got a couple of these up there, seem to work well. And you can see this one came in at 38th ranked. Again, it's starting to depend on where you have the available right-of-way. Where are your constraints, utilities, drainage, all that stuff that we look at. And then one more variation on that Milwaukee left turn was basically a loop that went over the freeway. Take that and put the loop back on the correct place where it belongs. And this thing looks like it competes pretty well too. And one advantage of this one is you can move the roundabout closer to the freeway. If you got really tight constraint on that side of the interchange, you can move things closer here. You'll have enough space because of the loop on the other side. So ranked 24, that's also looks to be pretty competitive in some spots. Yeah, and then there's this, right? Parklow AB. And I know we got lots of those in the ground, and we got more coming in our projects. And Parklow AB is simply the worst way that's ever been invented to move traffic through space on the Earth's surface. All right, did you catch that? The worst ever invented. It scores a whopping 2 points out of 15 as far as efficiency. 2 big signals at the wrong spacing, so you can't progress. You're making everybody drive all kinds of extra distances, all kinds of left turns. I point you to Falls of the Neuse at 540 in North Raleigh, if you want an example of the glories of the Parklow AB. One of the worst things about Parklow AB is the wrong way potential. You probably have driven out of the airport at Lumley Road at 540. I have. I specialize in interchanges, and I'm coming out of the airport, but it's always late, and it's raining, and it's dark, and I come close to making a wrong way movement, trying to find the ramp terminal to get in the correct way to go on 540. Okay, those are the problems. The solution is roundabouts, like this lovely little thing in Illinois. Moves you from overall the Parklow AB with signals 114th out of 125. Not much to like there. Moves it to be at least, 33rd ranked. Helps the cost situation a little bit, helps the efficiency situation a little bit, but especially helps the safety. And a lot of that is the wrong way potential that you just removed. Okay, Mike Lindgren in the room? Mike wanted me to throw in this slide. You know Mike? Mike is a warpath against weaving areas, rightfully so. And so while we're thinking about interchanges, this is Pool Road in I-87 area on 440. Terrible weaving area. And he sees other ones like this being created in other projects. So, sometimes weaving areas are necessary, but you should be aware if you've got one of these on your projects that there is really no good way to analyze traffic in a weaving area. The simulation does pretty well, but even that has to be calibrated. But as far as macroscopic methods, there's a new method out there that seems to have made things worse as far as the analysis goes. So these are tough situations. The best advice Mike has that I'm endorsing here is if you got a weaving area in your project, ask for multiple opinions before you endorse it and move it along. Before you create another Pool Road situation, we can't afford more like that. So. Unfortunately, in a crowded area, these are necessary, but we all need to do better. Okay, so when you see Mike, tell him I did my job here. All right, I'm going to wrap up with just a couple other thoughts. Some really good interchange news, great interchange news. Two new designs from your friends at NCDOT. This one here is the world's first super straight interchange. It's basically an RCI, but when I published it a few years ago, we didn't have the RCI name, so I named it super straight. Sorry about that. US 64 at I-85 was a diamond that was really unsafe. Lots of crashes. It's always the left turns. It was the left turns, people making a left turn out from the end of the ramp terminal. High speeds on US 64 didn't help. So basically turned it into an RCI, prohibited that left out move, made them right turn only. At the end of the ramp, they go down a ways, find a place to make a U-turn and come back through. Been open a couple months. Anybody been through it yet? You like it? Is it working? Okay, thank you. Not exactly a rousing endorsement, but maybe you didn't know it was the first in the world when you drove through it, right? And I have not been through it yet either. I'm looking forward to it. My vacations tend to be dominated by going out looking for interchanges to drive through. So ranked number 8 out of 125, superb for safety and doesn't cost much. Hope it works when we get the crash data. Hope it proves to be true that we have really improved a pretty horrific crash situation out there. Kudos to Division 9 and especially to Brian Thomas, the regional traffic engineer, for again having the courage. I started out by saying our management and our leadership gives us space to create things, but it takes people like in Division 9 and people like Brian to kind of put it on the line there and be willing to put their name behind the world's first of anything. So good for them. Thanks to them, and let's hope that it works, and then let's go find lots of other places to replace lots of other unsafe diamonds out there with similar project. And then the other one that is very close here, and you should definitely drive through it on your way out if you haven't seen it already. This will be the second in the world, as far as we know, the over-under design that's at I-440 and Wade Avenue, just a couple miles from here. It's so pretty. It's just you can go to Paris and look at the Mona Lisa, or there's statues, there's fountains. I don't know, but to me, this is artistic as well as functional. It ranks 59 out of 125 on our scoring system, so it's got some drawback, but it fits that spot so perfectly. And I worked on this spot, and I didn't think of this, to credit to the design build team that came up with it, and again, to our management leadership that let them do it, that gave them the space. Fit a design that works that well and moves that much traffic in such a small space without disturbing NC State on one side, Meredith College on the other side too much, and the pedestrian bridge over at the top there. So it's just awesome, and let's do more like this. Not all of ours will be as pretty as this one, but the thing that it replaced, by the way, the three-loop old interchange, was 117 out of 125. So, that clearly needed to go. A very nice improvement. When it opens fully, I expect it to work really well. We'll get the numbers. We'll see. So, in summary, three themes that I had for you today. The first one was two-phase intersections are still the gold standard. RCI, median U-turn, CFI, we should all be trying for those wherever we can throughout the network. But where they don't fit, or they're too costly, or they won't let us, then the three-phase solutions are potential compromises. They're on the menu. They're going to deliver you most of the benefits of the two-phase, safety, efficiency, etc. So just be aware of that. It's a big menu. Don't settle too much. Don't compromise too much. We don't have to go all the way to just to a do-nothing option on these projects. Second point I had was alternative intersection can really be the linchpin of a sort of a urban renewal. Greenville and Smithfield are lovely places, but they've got problems like everywhere else with failing retail, big boxes and malls, and places that need to be fixed, and our road projects can help do that, right? With the right kind of alternative design that moves lots of traffic, lots of capacity, at slow speed, but walkable intersections. That seems to be a combination win-win-win that could lead to a kind of a rebirth of a whole failing area. And then third on interchanges, again, it's such a big wide menu. 125 possibilities, not all of those are great, but several dozen. If you got a project with a tough interchange problem, go to the menu and look, and there's alternatives out there, and probably we can find one that will fit, that will help. So look at the menus. The interchange menu is posted. The intersections, that research report is going to be available. We've got a guidance document posted as well. So don't settle. Look at the menu. We do need more research. That's the old professor in me. That's a mandatory statement saying we need more research, especially the crash studies. We need the crash studies. I've given you lots of safety surrogates here this morning. The trust level in those is shaky. We need crash studies, real crash data, to know whether these things really are safer. They look like they will be, but we need the numbers. And then finally, I'm a collector, so if you see other ones out there, let me know. Right? Interchanges, intersections. Just got a cool new one a couple of weeks ago. Keep them coming. I appreciate it. And the plan is to regularly update the menu, especially the interchange menu, maybe annual updates to extend and add to the 125. Isn't this thing pretty? Somebody sent me that a few months ago. That's in Missouri. It's sort of a version of that Minnesota design, but instead of the extra bridge, they kind of tuck the ramp in with the existing bridge. Oh, awesome! Why didn't we think of that? Right? So let's keep being creative. Take advantage of this awesome place that we work with. They give us space. Let's use it. Let's go be creative and find some solutions like this. So let's keep talking. There's my contact information. One more thought. That's my last slide. That was one more thought. NC 540 opened last week. 18 miles of it. How awesome is that? 18 miles of new freeway in a urban county like Wake County. I mean, nobody does that, right? We should be dancing on the rooftops at this point. That our state, our agency is still able to do that and deliver a project like that is so awesome. So let's keep doing more awesomeness. Okay, thanks. Questions, please. Comments, please.
What's a typical design speed? Maybe it's depends. For a roundabout?
Yeah.
Is it like 18, 22?
Yep. The number in my mind was going to be 20. The question was typical design speed for a roundabout, and the number in my head was going to be 20-ish, plus or minus. There's different diameters, but for a standard roundabout, somewhere around 20. Yep, it's terrific, that speed control, that even if somebody makes a mistake in a roundabout and they're exceeding a little bit, they're 25, they're no more than 30, so that crash because of their mistake is just not going to be that serious. So yeah, that's a big advantage roundabout, and some of these other designs that incorporate roundabout or progression opportunities to give us speed control to limit the severity of crash.
Are there any signs with roundabouts? I would love a sign with a roundabout that said car like merged.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
the one at, Surf City,
Yeah.
you just sit there because they won't let you in.
Yep.
They won't, right, go that way.
Yeah, that's a great question. The question was, are there signs to instruct people how to use the roundabout and the problem with the roundabout that you're getting at there is in the wrong circumstance that one direction dominates and one won't let usually minor street traffic enter. And that is difficult. That's a sign that the roundabout's really stressed, that we're up near the capacity limit, and once roundabouts get over capacity limit, they gridlock. That is a drawback of roundabout, and we all have to be really careful of that. There's a couple of easy numbers to remember. Single lane roundabout, 25,000 entering vehicle per day, and then they pretty much hit the limit. And two lane roundabout, which we don't do much in this state, but if you want the number for that, it's 45,000. And so that's other intersections when they get near capacity, they fail, but they just create queues up the approaches. But a roundabout tends to gridlock in a very nasty way. So, yeah, no sign that I know of to help that. There's some room for driver education there for sure, and then a caution for designers that everything in its place. Yeah, good. Thank you. Please.
Regarding the through cuts, I've sketched a few for Virginia. It seems like all those little tiny islands are a real pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it would be for maintenance as well.
Yep.
I know you need to kind of direct people, but
Yep.
that seems like a negative to me.
Yep. I agree that the question was on through cuts, that there's a lot of little islands, difficult to design, probably difficult to maintain. I think in time we're going to settle out of that and come up with a sort of a standard design for through cut that will sort of standardize those islands and get. No criticism here of the designers of the one in Holly Springs or the early ones. Awesome that again they put themselves out there to try that, but we learn from the early ones, and I think one of the things we might learn from that one is fewer but larger islands. We're trying to commission a research project on the subject of through cuts and some of these other designs. And along the lines of the roundabout, too, to help educate drivers how not to make the illegal turn. So there's education and enforcement opportunities here as well to get that idea across. Median U-turns and CFIs and some of the other designs that are vulnerable to illegal turn. But through cut is on that list for sure, and some of the partials here, too. What's the best combination of design, education, enforcement, signing, marking, et cetera, to at least minimize those potentials. Yeah, good. I think we'll get there. Thank you. Other question, please? Yes.
All right, I got the partial MUP that
Yeah.
you mentioned.
Yeah.
We've got the project center that in Greenville. So if anybody wants to go out and look at the visualization we have online, you can look up Evans Street, Old Car widening on YouTube.
Yep.
Or the project number is U2817.
Yep.
And the visualizations are on that as well. And it's definitely going to be different, but we put overhead signs to help direct how people would want to, what movements they can make, because it's basically two major intersections
Yep.
or roads crossing one another.
Yep.
And just want to put that plug out if anybody's looking for something.
Absolutely. And that's my entree. Thank you. That's my entree to say all 14 divisions. I've mentioned a couple here that happen to bubble up on the slides, but as far as I know, all 14 divisions are engaged in this idea of using creative solutions for our really tough problems. I could find examples 1 through 14 of people trying to find the optimum solution for their particular place. Yeah, there's always difficulties, the driver education, exactly how do we design, and then get down into the details. I say casually, oh yeah, then it's signing and signals and marking too. Holy mackerel. Those are all big, tough things in themselves, right? So it's everybody here, but Division 2 is on it, but really all 14 pushing different projects in different ways. It's so exciting. Thanks. Yes, please.
So I appreciate the challenge to get creative, but when you were coming up with your criteria for ranking these
Yeah.
ideas, was there any consideration for what we do for future blindness and how to build on, when you put in a really creative design,
Yeah.
how do we consider
Yeah.
expanding that in the future, adding more lanes?
Yeah.
It seemed like the SPUIs got stuck because you couldn't widen them. You've got limitations on roundabouts.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
as we're thinking
Yep.
about the project today and then in the future,
Yep.
how do we address that?
That's a terrific point. No, don't have a criteria for that. Maybe should. It might be the 13th. And I'm trying to think of how exactly we would score that. How would we know? But help me out. We can probably come up with something there. That's superb. You're right. SPUI is really difficult in that. Next presentation, I'm going to give different room, but I'm going to contribute to the presentation on express design in a few minutes here with an example of a failing SPUI that needed to be expanded somehow and not easy, really difficult. That's what makes it a good example to talk through at a meeting. And then roundabouts I mentioned before too is they hit the ceiling and they're done. And there's some examples out there around our state of places where we have hit that limit and it gets ugly. So you're right. Great potential for number 13 there. I appreciate it. Good. 2 minutes left. Last question, please. Yep.
I did see a sign that kind of goes with what you talked about, the roundabout merging. This is probably 40 years ago, and I think it was in Germany, and it just big billboard of a zipper. So
Yeah.
zipper moving.
Good. Yep. The point was a long time ago in Germany, a big sign on how to design roundabouts with basically a picture of a zipper showing how to make the merge. My story from Europe, lucky enough to be on the Federal Highway panel that went to Europe last year to look at turbo roundabouts. Went to Poland, Czech Republic, and Netherlands. And one of the big impressions I was left with after that trip was how many more signs they use than we do. In fact, our team, we had fun driving up to the next turbo and trying to guess how many warning signs would be on the approach to tell you which lane to be in. The winner somewhere in Poland had 9 sets of signs on the approach to get people in the correct lane as they were approaching this turbo. Way more, way different philosophy than the U.S. Better, worse? Their crash data are better. Is it because of the signs? I don't know, but it's just way different the use of the signs. Holy moly! Yep. Yep. And in particular, which lane to be in on the approach. To me, that's the top of the line. Okay, that we hit our time, and I'm hearing noise building up over there. So thank you so much. Keep talking intersections. Thanks.
And the QR code for the PDHs are up on the screen for anybody that still doesn't have it. And they're all